Alright, so we're going to start a new game.
Rogue's Gate, a prototype by Phillip Daigle.
That's not true. I didn't make this. This is actually a game from 1994 that I just found.
That you found?
That I found.
No, I believe you would have made this.
I don't like this name. Let's come up with a new name.
Elements.
Trentlin. That's the name. His name is Trentlin. And look, he even kind of looks like you. He's got the little...
You're a funny guy, Phil.
Let's give him a little top knot, as you have in real life.
Of course I have a top
And we'll
knot.
make him a blonde, because blondes have more fun.
He's a little portly.
Listen, man, I had one humanoid sprite, and I had to build my church on all of that.
Maybe some art training would be in order.
Listen, man, it's supposed to be retro.
Supposed to be retro.
It's supposed to be retro. You're supposed to look at this and be like, oh, this is Warcraft 2.
So there's a difference between retro and fugly, right?
I'm just getting beat up here. This is ridiculous. Well, there you go. Where should we go? Oh, it says in the corner, check your world map to find the location of the first tower. Move towards the tower and gather supplies and allies on the way. Once you're inside, you can't leave until you've retrieved the artifact at its peak. Where is this tower? Oh, it's nearby. Look at that.
Wonderful.
It's very, very close. So who we got?
You sound surprised that it was nearby.
We got Trentlin.
Is it randomized?
It is randomized, actually.
Truly.
Sometimes it'll spawn across the world. Those games are hard to get going. We got
I would believe that.
Hayes. We got Jas.
So this is Rogue's Gate, a
This is
prototype
Rogue's
by
Gate.
Phillip Daigle.
That's right. You might notice that it looks a lot like Warcraft 2. This
And-
is intentional.
And why does it look a lot like Warcraft 2, Phil?
Because I stole all the art from a game called Wormsun, which is an open source game that is built off of a re-implementation of the Warcraft 2 engine.
So what engine is this, Phil?
This is something that I had to write myself because I like to suffer. Let's go into the basement here.
You're going into the underground. Steggy Rift.
Yep. And now we're underground. Shall we escape and go back to the surface? Oh, by the way, this whole game takes place in a floating continent.
That's a little weird, man.
It is a little weird because you need a little bit of weirdness to make your game stand apart from others.
That is true.
I'm a little irritated that I haven't run into a single enemy yet. Hey, there's some. Ah, they charged at me. Let's do some bad things to these guys. So first, I'm going to cast Zex Beam. This is my
Zex
favorite
Beam.
spell. All right, that hurt him quite a bit. We got our blue bolt, but that's pretty much just magic missile. And then what does this guy have? This guy has Hurl Tomahawk, which stuns enemies. You couldn't see it because it was too close. This guy is a champion, so that means that he has the class ability Charge. So let's send him at that guy.
He's
There you
cooking
go.
with gas now.
There you go. You might have noticed that my pathfinding and collision code is garbage. It's because I'm not a very good programmer.
Hey, didn't you have 4 party members at one point?
Yeah, he died, and there's no resurrection in this game, and the only way to really heal is to rest, so it's fun.
You look like you're going to be swarmed by slimes.
I am being swarmed by slimes, but... oh, right, the other mage died. Whoops. That's unfortunate, because I wanted to show off the spell that he had, which is really, really cool. So we're going to... well, let's just die. How about that? Let's get into a big fight. We're going to kill this guy. We got to pick up our supplies here. All right. Let's make some camp.
Make some camp.
Make a camp.
I wish to
30%
make some
chance
camp.
of ambush. Should we risk it, or should we put some guys on watch here? If they're on watch, they don't get as much health back, and they don't get as many spells back.
Chance it, man.
Chance it? All right, let's see what
Always
happens.
chance it.
Early in the evening, you witness a massive explosion in the distance. Moments later, a deafening roar and a blast of hot air wash over you, but nothing more occurs. Well, you got lucky.
Obviously, I'm just going to go back to sleep because
Yeah.
whatever massive explosion was nearby.
Let's go to sleep
obviously.
again. Let's just keep sleeping until something bad happens. Oh, it's nighttime now. Oh, and there's a clock, by the way.
There's a clock.
There's
It's
a clock.
2:43 in the morning.
God damn it. Why won't enemies attack me? Why is
It's
this game so peaceful?
It's 10:45. Dude, you should go adventuring. Days just
I'm
started.
trying to run out of supplies.
I want you to get to the tower.
Hey, there we go.
There's no telling.
2 arms.
2 arms,
Oh,
my
yeah.
friends. 2 arms.
They're screwing me
Something
up
about
here.
you at 2:50 in the morning. You like fighting.
It's terrible.
You're like-
All right.
Midnight guy.
We're going to actually, I want to die so you can see the end screen, and then I'm going to show you one more spell before we stop wasting people's time. I can't get past there. Hey, there's more enemies.
So you're saying it's actually fairly hard for you to die.
It isn't later on because as time goes on, the number of spawns and the type of spawns increases. So bad things will eventually happen to you. I'm going to bring up the console and kill this guy. Harm. What? Oh, no, never mind. I didn't have to do that.
You have died.
You have died. Trentland has died.
Your time is at an end. Without you to lead, your party quickly falls to infighting and disbands. Your corpse is soon eaten away. My God, man, that's dark. Dark. Dark.
All right. For some reason, the frame rate has dropped horribly. I'm going to assume that, again, it's my lack of programming skill.
Yeah, you have definitely got frame rate issues.
Here we go. It's back to being nice and smooth. All right, this is the spell I wanted to show you. It's a lot of fun, and it's Fireball.
Fireball.
And
you just killed your entire party.
Yeah, you don't get to see the flames that start, and then they spread everywhere. All right, guys.
You're an evil man.
I am an evil man.
I'm not.
Hello, and welcome to the Friday Beamdog stream, where we talk about Baldur's Gate 2, Baldur's Gate Siege of Dragonspear, Icewind Dale, Planescape Torment, Neverwinter Nights, Arcanum Enhanced Edition, Icewind Dale 2, which we don't have the source code for.
You're such a dick.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on.
So, marketing news. PAX West. We're going to PAX. And we're going to be talking about mostly our D&D stuff. Actually, all our D&D stuff. Because that's what we're doing. Because we're allowed to make plans and change plans.
That's right.
That's the world that we live in.
Are allowed to drink juice on the stream.
Yeah, Phil is drinking bubbly apple juice. We
Delicious.
all know what bubbly apple juice is. It's bubbly.
Everyone was
apple
like,
juice.
man, it's not even noon. And I was like, yeah, well, that's the perfect time for apple juice.
It's after 7 p.m. Another thing, if you're local to Edmonton, we're going to be at the Edmonton Expo. We'll have a booth there, and we'll be mostly hanging out with a bit of selling of the collector's edition of Siege of Dragonspear. We'll probably have a special price. And there'll be no shipping because you're right bloody there, and we'll have a box and we'll put it in your hands and you will be happy.
Well, there'll be less shipping, but not no shipping.
There'll be no shipping.
Well, you give me $5 and I'll put it in your hands. That's the Phil price.
That's the reason that Phil is not in charge of shipping. We call that the Phil tax. The other thing, sign up for our newsletter. We're still rebuilding the newsletter after GDPR stuff came through. Basically, we need you to say, yes, please send me the newsletter again.
That's right.
They're funny. They're good. We've got good stuff on them.
There's a contest coming up where I believe if you sign up for the newsletter, you are entered into a draw to have a fantasy portrait made of your photo of your choosing. And then you'll also get a portrait made by me. You'll get a good portrait made by an actual artist, and you'll get another portrait made by me. So look forward to that.
Actually, we'll just outsource your stuff to a kindergarten
Well, how
class.
about, all right, if you don't want me drawing
having seen the art
for
you've
them,
done for your game there, I'm totally outsourcing
that's
your
not
art.
me. That you're slagging off another dude who I'm going to show you because he deserves some recognition here.
Worm Son.
It's on Steam, and it's free.
It's free?
Look at this game on my screen here.
Worm
So you're going to
Son.
see all the graphics that I stole. Stole isn't a good word here. I
Purloined
the graphics that were in this game and used them to my own ends.
I noticed that your characters walk a lot slower than his.
They do, because this is absurdly fast. Wormson is an RTS, so there needs to be a little bit more speed, because my game is a party-based game, basically like a degenerate version of Baldur's
He's
Gate.
breaking all the rules. Never have a box and have buttons below it. They all must fit in the box. I am so upset.
Anyways, it's free. Go play it, and then if you want to support this guy, he has little flare packs that you can buy that don't do anything, but they're just little fun things. And if you want to see the source code for Wormson, it's on GitHub, so go check it out. All right, that's enough
other
of an aside.
Beamdog news, we're hiring.
We are
So we're still looking for web developers, C++ programmers, and technical artists. So
That's right.
if you do any of these things and you're looking for a new, fun, exciting adventure, come on.
I've gotten some messages from people asking, "Are you guys still hiring?" And the answer is yes.
The answer is from now until forever, we'll always be hiring because.
But Trent, how can we be hiring if this place is literally going to burst from the number of people that we've slammed into it?
We are going to get a new office.
That's right.
We have signed papers on a new office, but we're not ready to talk about it because I am holding off. So
you didn't see the last stream then?
I didn't see the last stream.
Okay, that's good because we didn't talk about it then either.
What did you guys say in the last stream?
We just said that we're stuck in this one office until the end of time.
You're such a lying bastard. Because Dan is losing his mind right now. I didn't watch your stream because I don't want to watch your stream, Phil.
Well, then,
it's not the same without me, man.
You're not party to all the promises that you made last week.
What promises did I make last week? And remember, there's a knife sitting in front of me.
So it turns out that we did find the source code to Icewind Dale 2. It was sitting in the back of your Porsche, just sitting in a box.
Nope. It was not.
These are all lies.
These
lies and mistruths.
Phillip is all lies, at the moment at least.
Question from the audience. I assume this is about Neverwinter Nights.
Are there any plans to update? ? Add features to emitters. We are looking at the graphics engine. We've gone through, we've done an analysis on kind of, not really next-gen features, but kind of like...
Should we show them the video?
Equivalence features? No, we should not. I don't want to promise something we can't deliver yet. So we went through, we analyzed kind of the graphics requirements to do that, and the estimates came back a little high. So we're going to do a little bit of a deeper dive, dig in and see kind of what the actual costs are to get it done. But the goal going forward is to upgrade the graphics engine.
Especially that lighting model.
Yeah, and really kind of come up with a way to build a lighting model that makes sense kind of in this era.
So next week we've got a day set aside here in the office. Cameron up in Grand Prairie is going to be coming down. We're going to sit down with all of the graphics programmers on the Neverwinter Night team and try to come to some sort of conclusion regarding what we are and are not going to do and how we're going to approach it. So
I'm looking at Phil's notes and there's bad words on it.
There are bad words on there.
I'm tormented by your bad words, Phil. There we go. That's better.
You can't see it.
Here's another question.
Trent and Phil is spelled F-I-L, the correct way. Thank you. File. There you go. We are waiting for the new content for Baldur's Gate for Siege of Dragonspear. Can't wait to see the romance between my male protagonist and Kalar Argent. Man, she's got enough on her mind. She's a single mom. She's got to deal with this crusade.
We never said single mom. That's not Kalar. That's
oh, right. I'm thinking of Corwin.
You think Corwin.
Jeez.
Corwin's a single mom. Kalar's just got the whole, hey, I'm going to basically mess up the Forgotten Realms and...
Spoilers.
Yeah. Kalar's doing bad stuff, man. Bad stuff.
Hello.
But she thinks she's doing the good thing, which is always the way that bad things happen.
You guys have a new lever that you can pull now in order to get that content. Go bug Luke Rideout. He's the guy that's come in to take over for the Infinity Engine from me. And he's kind of heading up all future Infinity Engine development. So,
speaking of that,
please
I heard
harass him.
There is a rumor going around the office right now about a 2.5 update, Phil. What is the status of the 2.5 update, Phil?
It's out, yo. We're done. For the love of God, it's done. It's over. We did it.
So 2.5 is going out on all platforms.
It is out on all platforms. Well,
except for Mac App Store,
Mac App Store,
which is next week, because we haven't pushed anything to Mac, and their process is kind of different. So
for GOG, we're packaging up the build and sending it over to them this afternoon, and then after that, it'll be in their hands. But I imagine they'll get it up very, very quickly for you guys.
Yeah.
But Jesus, Lord in heaven, that took a while.
Yes. So the last count I heard was like 1,630 some issues resolved. So that's pretty crazy for a patch that's like years and years and years after a ship. So I think we're pretty happy with the way it turned out. I think we're pretty happy with the way the game is at the moment. That said, if you run into errors, hit us up on the forums, use the support system, get us the feedback. If there's anything that is broken that you're trying to do, we will try to look into it and see what we can do on it.
And bonus, so in Icewind Dale 2.5, we talked about this on the last stream, but there's a new feature for you guys to test out. You have to enable it in the .lua file, but it's the ability to see the radius of an area of effect spell that you're casting.
I heard you cock that up last week.
I did because I kept casting Fireball on myself. So if you go grab Icewind Dale 2.5, you can try this feature out. I think it's really, really cool. It's a feature that I've wanted since 1998.
Yeah, and if I remember right, it was done by a certain fellow, and everybody told us it couldn't be done, and he just went and did it.
Yeah, he did. And now it's in. And
That
now you
is-
can play
that
with
is
it.
awesome.
So yeah, go check it out. It's pretty cool. And then once we've worked all the kinks out, and once we've gotten your guys' feedback, we'll push it into all the games sometime before the next major patch, which is TBD as to when it's arriving.
Yep. Other thing, Neverwinter Nights. We're just going back and forth with the GOG guys. We're going to get Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition on GOG. It should be fairly soon. They're going to loan us some QA resources to test out on their end.
Yeah, the build is actually done. We're testing it now, and it will have it will work in Galaxy. Niv's currently in the middle of working out the overlay support in GOG Galaxy, so we're hoping to support most of the major features of Galaxy.
Yeah,
and
so
then
we'll try and go back and forth with their QA. We'll sort it out, make sure it's in a good state, and then once we're good and GOG is happy, we will push it live.
So going back briefly to Infinity Engine news, I wanted to give a very brief shout out to one Pete Camagna, who is going to be leaving us in the near future to work on other awesome projects. But Pete has been part of the Infinity Engine technical team. He's been a leader for that team for the past year and a half, 2 years.
And
just
before
about.
that, he contributed on just about everything we worked on. And before that, he was modding Baldur's Gate for years and years and years.
So Pete knows IE quite a bit better than I do. And he's amazing. He's been an incredible source of energy and positivity and support for this entire patch series, and I'd really like to throw a shout-out to him. I'm sad to see him go, but I understand, you can't work on Infinity forever. It will drive you insane and will slowly drive an ice pick into the center of your brain.
There's a Cthulhu-esque aspect to it.
Yeah.
Here's a question. How did you guys come up with the name Beamdog? Beamdog is beam and dog. Beam meaning transfer, dog being companion. He's your buddy. He's not going to tell you how it is. He's going to say, okay, I'll do it. What do you need? Okay, I'll got it. He just wants to be there. He wants to help you out. So really, Beamdog was transfer, companion, but helpful.
I pitched Fetch Ferret, but I was shouted down pretty quickly.
When I ran it through the neat Web 2.0 name generator, it didn't come back.
Fetch Ferret will not live today.
Nope.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Why is there a tag on my hat, Trent?
Because we still want to return it. Careful, Matt. Careful.
Ow, my finger.
There. Phil
Oh.
lost his hat tag.
There, I cut off my ponytail for you, buddy.
His top knot-esque thing.
There you go. As you may have noticed, I don't know what side it's on, but this hat is signed. We're going to be giving this hat away. This is a special hat because I've sweated in it quite a bit. So if you're the winner and you get it, you could actually extract my DNA and clone me and then just spend your days beating me up, stabbing me, doing horrible things to me. So doing this for you.
It's a dark world you live in, Phil. It's a dark, dark world.
Didn't you see that that Dark Mirror episode, Black Mirror episode, where the guy's got like the Star Trek simulator, and he grabs people's DNA and he clones them to be in his Star Trek simulator so that he can do horrible things to them? And he's played by Todd from Breaking Bad, who shot that little kid. Spoiler alert. And do you remember? I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop right now.
Please stop. Bard's Tale Remaster looks awesome. But you guys could do even better with the Gold Box EE.
Everybody
news?
wants remade Gold Box games. What's up with that?
I don't know. Gold Box is tied up, man. We've poked it, and it's just not going to happen for a while.
Let's spec this thing out. What are the core elements of a Gold Box game? You got your first-person dungeon exploration.
No.
First person.
That came later, man.
Dungeon. Well, I mean, people.
No, Gold
enjoy
Box was top-down and ISO. And
I thought there was a first-person element in addition to the top-down battles, though. Am I getting this confused with the other game?
No, you're right.
I am.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
So there's the top-down battles.
Yeah. Turn-based.
Yeah, it's turn-based. So it's turn-based.
Yeah.
What else? What are the core elements of a Gold Box game?
Minuscule sprites, 4-hour-long battles, as each character takes its turn.
Long battles. We'll write that one down. We'll underline that one. We want the battles to be long.
It's not a technical problem, it's a business problem.
But let's say we were going to make a new gold box game. So we're going to have a first-person dungeon. So that means that we'll take the Wolfenstein 3D engine. So we're going to take Wolf 3D.
I think we'd even go further back. We'd grab something totally retro, like Torque game engine.
Jesus, Torque.
Or something horribly painful.
Later in the stream, we're going to have a long conversation about my history in the game industry, and it starts with Torque.
Oh, God.
So enjoy that one.
Poor
all right, so we're going to take the Wolf 3D technology. We're going to merge it in with the gameplay of Archon.
What's this Wii shit, Bubba?
Which you recall from 1982. Turn-based, well, that one, we're just going to give that one up. But long battles, see, the trick is we're going to give each character in a battle 800,000 hit points.
Yes.
Which, if you'll note, the weapon strength can only do a max of like 32 damage. So the battles will be very long.
Phil, you tire me. So while Phil is slowly grinding out, I'm going to show a knife. This is the knife from 2 weeks ago. I put the hilt on it and the handle, and I polished it up. It's got a couple flaws, but in some way the flaws are kind of character. So it's the 52-100 ball bearing Damascus and 1095 powdered steel, and it has a rosewood handle and a brass guard and brass pins. I'm kind of happy with it. It feels good. It's got a nice heft to it. It's got a nice shape. I think it would be a good fighter. It's got good geometry for stabbing, and I've ground it a little more conservatively than I have my previous stuff. The blade geometry is a little more concave. Convex. So it allows it to be a little harder on the edge. Because this is 1095, it's going to be a little more fragile, but at the same time I've tempered it a little hotter, so it's a little softer. You know, all in all, I think it's a good fighter. I'm partially happy with this. That's about as far as I'll go.
The next Game Jam Battle Royale that Edmonton has, Beamdog's going to come out on top, you know? Last few years, we showed up with, like, kitchen knives, forks, that sort of thing. And we got our asses kicked. I'm going to be honest here. X-Gen showed up with pitchforks, and you know what? The reach matters. So
reach does matter.
Reach does matter a lot.
There's a reason that spears were really popular for a long time.
I was a little chapped when BioWare just arrived with guns, and I feel like that kind of defeated the spirit of the Battle Royale.
So we got a question. Once you've made the 64-bit version of Neverwinter EE, will you still continue with the 32-bit version? The code compiles to both platforms, 64-bit and 32-bit. We'll continue to push them both out. In many cases, there's no benefit to running a 64-bit version versus a 32-bit version. So we'll probably continue to have the default executable be the 32-bit, and then we'll have an NWN 64.
The major benefit is if you have a 32-bit processor, because your processor is from before the turn of the century.
The 90s.
Yeah. Actually, that's not true. I guess 64-bit started coming into vogue in like 2007 or so with like the Turian and stuff.
Started coming to vogue, but it was around before that.
Yeah, and I can see some machines still kicking around.
So Phil, any news on Arcanum EE? Phil, you promised to make some calls.
It's done. We got it. It's all the code's building. It's done. It's ready to go. You just got to harass this guy to ship it whenever he's ready.
Phil is wearing the truth hat today, obviously. Here's a question. Trent, talk about Steam trading cards. Are they a source of steady income, or just pennies?
The cards themselves are pennies. Like they don't do huge numbers, but the more important thing is that they make the game more attractive to people who are completionists or collectors. It's kind of like achievements. Like if you take a game that has no achievements.
So we've only got a couple minutes until the interview.
So fine. Well,
you
pontificate.
Pennies. Here's a question. Any news on achievements for Neverwinter EE?
Yes, there is news. Moving on. Yeah, we have a ticket. Elise, one of our technical designers, is currently stepping through the original 3 campaigns to work out what our achievements are going to be.
Yes.
Now, some of these are going to be tied to the campaigns. Some of them will just be general gameplay things like, hey, you made it to level 40.
Yep. And-
But we're actively looking at that right now, actually.
And this is also part of kind of the director's, not really director's cut, it's more a director's revision.
Director's winnowing of The Wailing Death.
Winnowing. That is the truth. So here's another question. After all this hiring, how many people work for Beamdog now? We are
Low 40s?
I think we're 44 at the moment,
Somewhere around there.
and 45 in September that are that have confirmed. We simply don't fit in this office space anymore. So we're currently in 3,700 square feet, and I have signed paper on a building that is actually close to 11,000 square feet.
Mm-hmm. It's quite large.
And I've actually been there, and I've been trying to work out of there because I lost my office here because we now have 7 people working out of where my office once was.
So wait, what's our current square footage? And you said
3,700
people. So that's less than 100 square feet per person.
Yeah,
Good Lord.
that's fine.
So on our Monday morning stand-ups in the main office there, we get everyone into the same room, and we have this little
the building
gag
leans a little bit.
where we all jump at the same time, and we scare the hell out of the girls that work below us. It's a lot of fun.
Phil's lying because they actually don't show up until afternoon.
That's true. God bless them.
The question is, what are they working on? Well, we've got people who are still working Infinity Engine stuff. We've got a pretty impressively large team working on the Neverwinter Android stuff and Neverwinter main. So we've got to continue to advance Neverwinter PC forward, but at the same time we're building the tablet version of it. 64-bit Neverwinter also falls into that because that's a requirement for a Google Play feature, and it's also a requirement for getting it on iOS. And we've got the web team. We've got the unannounced strategy title that we were going to announce.
Whoa. Nobody said the word strategy.
I said strategy.
All right. Well, now you know. The game has strategy in
I
it.
think we said that before.
So we got a few projects on the go.
We
Quite a few.
We got a fair number of projects, and website stuff as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's,
and then if we ever get back into collector's editions, that's another thing that we have to be working on.
collector's editions, man. Those things are a lot of work.
They're a lot of work, but they're also pretty amazing. I think you'd agree.
I think it's all down to making really amazing things and making few of them.
What kind of amazing things would you want to see in a collector's edition?
I want a suit of armor. I want Saravok's plate mail. I want the silver Saravok version of Baldur's Gate. Comes with a USB stick of the game. Costs like 10 grand.
The year after Bethesda puts out the collector's edition of Fallout with the actual Brotherhood of Steel armor, then the economy of scale will kick in where we can do the Saravok version of that.
Yep.
But that's coming, man. I'm telling you. You're going to see a full Brotherhood of Steel collector's edition for like $50,000. Somebody out there is going to buy it. I'm telling you.
Dude, if it's a functional Brotherhood of Steel armor, I will
I don't think it's going to be functional.
cut you up and sell your organs to buy that puppy.
Even if it is functional, I don't think you're going to be able to find the atomic cores necessary to make it work.
I think you're just questioning my will, Phil.
All right. So we have an interview lined up for today. We are going to be speaking with Symphony, a member of the Airlift staff, and Symphony is also a very prolific modder, I would say, who's been working on all aspects of Neverwinter Nights for the past little while. They do shaders, they do normal stuff, they do all kinds of technical guidance for people in the community. So Symphony is...
By they, you mean Symphony, right?
Well, I mean, I'm using their internet nickname because it's cool.
So I actually met Symphony down at GDC. We went for lunch, hung out, and he's a fun dude.
Does this person have a name? We won't reveal it.
Symphony.
All right. Now, we've got our extremely high-tech interview process here where we put on a second set of headphones.
So that I can hear Phil in both
That's
ears, my right ear and my left ear, even
hear all that
So
mouth noise.
I am surrounded by Phil. God, please help me.
All right. We're going to call up Symphony right now.
My God, it's Dan's face. We got some Dan face
We're
going
scaring the guy off already. He's not going to pick up because Dan's glaring at him.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Hey,
Symphony.
How are you two?
Well, we're getting by. We're getting by. We're suffering through this live stream. Live.
Yeah,
Every week.
every week, every week, except when I'm on vacation or at a trade show,
And then I have to do
or
it.
just refusing to do it because
Wait.
I'm sad.
My head's getting cold. I need to put this back on.
Yeah. So we're currently living in the Blade Runner, the new updated version with the yellow skies and everything. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, Symphony.
I saw your Facebook post, Trent. I didn't think that was real.
It's real. Actually,
It's very real.
no Instagram filters or anything. This is the sky was orange, my friend, and it was not a good thing.
Dan, if you want to hop over to my screen, we can actually show the audience what we're talking about here.
So I live in California, and about last month there was a couple of days where the skies were just pink like cotton candy because of all the fires.
Yep.
So yeah, different sides of the country, or the continent.
Yep.
But some similar stuff.
Our skies were also orange, and that was from the forest fires.
Apparently, the smoke that's darkening your sky is the same smoke that's darkening ours. So thank you very much.
It's like we're on the same planet.
It's true.
It's like the entire West Coast is on fire, and the smoke is going everywhere.
All right, we have a list of questions that we have to get through.
Okay.
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
It's the rapid fire round. Okay, number one, for $10,000, how did you initially get into Neverwinter Nights?
Okay, so I've been playing Neverwinter Nights pretty much the whole time. I stayed at my cousin's when I was in high school, and he had Baldur's Gate, and I had nothing to do. So I played Baldur's Gate, and then when I went home, I bought Baldur's Gate 2 and saw the advertisement for Neverwinter Nights in it. I was like, that's great.
Lord Foreshadow.
Yeah.
3D Baldur's Gate.
Were you able to import your character from Baldur's Gate 2 to Neverwinter Nights as it
No,
advertised?
don't be ridiculous. Don't be ridiculous.
Sorry about that.
That
was a lie.
I did buy Neverwinter Nights pretty much the first month it came out, and tried the official campaign for one day and managed to find a persistent world. Like the next day, the second day into the game, people had already built many online servers for people to play on.
It's because the Wailing Death just wasn't good enough, Trent. I'm sorry.
There was like prisoners, and I didn't know what I was doing. I think I was playing like a paladin rogue, and there was
Lord.
no undead to turn, and it was very strange and awkward.
I'm conflicted. I want to do the right things, but I want to steal things from people too. What do I do? Paladin rogue.
So yeah, I mean, I've taken a couple of breaks when life has gotten busy. I'm a musician, so there's like one time when I was in like 6 or 7 musical ensembles, and I was like, well, no, Neverwinter Nights. But I don't think I've ever taken a break longer than about a year and a half.
Well, let me ask you this. Have you ever taken a stab at making music for Neverwinter?
I have taken a stab at making music for a persistent world server who wanted to have a lot of original content. Mm-hmm. But when I joined their team, things were like really crazy. Like everything, there's just a mountain of work that had to be done, and everyone's hearts were kind of broken about how long it was taking. So that was actually the catalyst for me to get into developing Neverwinter Nights, because I started picking up other work instead of writing music. I didn't want to write music for a server that wasn't going to make it. So I ended up just writing a couple of test tracks, but then doing a bunch of other stuff. I looked up the scripts and the balancing and the hacks, and I ended up making a wiki for them. And that's really kind of where all of the stuff I'm doing now started.
Mm-hmm.
See, what's funny is you basically just described game development. We started making a game, and then we realized it was really hard, and there was way too much work, and it wasn't getting done, and there was sadness. Yeah, that's game development.
Yeah, I've been jumping between different ponds of a bunch of work to do pretty much ever since, learning a lot more every single time.
Yeah, it looks like it. You have a pretty broad background when it comes to many different disciplines, both art and technical. And it looks like you do a lot of work with shaders, neural maps, skyboxes, and whatnot. How did you get really interested in that sort of stuff?
Well, most of that stuff is actually really new. Like after that server that I was making music for didn't work, I ended up DMing a side server for Airlith, and that was great because I hadn't really spent a lot of time in the DM client. And I could get that whole party tabletop experience where I was like decorating and filling the next room with monsters while they were taking care of the last ones. But when there weren't people around, I was like, all right, well, what can I do? And I ended up looking at a dire wolf with bark skin on it, and I was like, man, that just looks so ugly. Like, what can I? There's got to be a better way. So I went on the Vault, and I ended up downloading all of the core game files and found the one that's used for bark skin and swapped it with another bark that's in like the rural tile set. It's already in the game, and just told the game to use that instead. And it was so much of a difference that it just blew me away. And I showed it to other people, and they were like, "Whoa, I didn't know you made stuff." I'm like, "No, I didn't make this. I just renamed a file." So that was like last April, like 2017. So since then, I've been messing around. I started messing around with skyboxes. They were easy because they're only like 1024 by 1024, but like 20% of it takes up the entire 1920 screen. So this is like something that definitely could use an upgrade. I started messing with some tiles, some placeables, really looking at the low-hanging fruit. And it's something that I really try to encourage other people to think about modding content too, because anybody could really do it. Mm-hmm. Even in those first few weeks, everyone's just like, "Man, I wish I could, do the stuff that you do." Be like, "Man, I just started last week. What are you talking about? You could do it." Yeah, I think about a month ago, I put out an override for Aerolith for their weapon textures. And in 24 hours of putting it up on the forums for people to download, I had 3 different people send me their versions of the exact same weapon override. And they're like, "I had no idea it was this easy. This is so cool."
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things when we built Neverwinter was like, it has to be easy for us to create content, but let's while we're doing it, try and make it as easy as possible for other people to make content. And I find it kind of hilarious that you're stomping through the skyboxes, because I actually made all the skyboxes in Neverwinter. That was 100% me, because I wanted skyboxes in there. And
Trent, I've been covering so much of your work. I'm looking at your weapon models and your skybox models. Those skyboxes aren't even cubes.
Nope, they've got kind of a chain. They're stretched in the middle. You got a lot of different things going on. I'm trying to get a little more roundness out of the world. So when they were cubes, it seemed a little odd. They warped a bit in the distance. So I added some geometry.
And now you have a man trying to cover over your sins on the phone, and you're telling him proudly what you have done to make his life difficult.
It's not just about making his life difficult. It's about making everyone's life difficult, because I wasn't happy with the way they were wobbling in the distance.
Well, I think all of it comes back to that, really. I think not being happy with stuff is kind of something that came from music for me. But that really allows you to pinpoint, like, what needs to be worked on. And I think having that, being unhappy with stuff without being an unhappy person, is really what it takes to take on the work and do a good job, and then keep the content going out.
I think it's the nature of the world. I mean, you do something, and you're like, "Hey, I'm happy that I achieved that," and then you're able to take a look at it and say, "You know what? I could do better, and I could do better by if I did this and this and this." And
the curse of the artist.
Yeah, and then you go and you do it, and then I'm happier. But there's still this and this, and there's always a way to make whatever you do better. And I think it was...
what's the classic saying? The enemy of good is perfect?
Yes. But at the same time, James Cameron from Titanic said, "Titanic taught me to like a shot. I didn't have to love every shot. I could just like a shot." And I kind of go from that. It's like, sometimes you get something to a place and you're like, I'm pretty happy with that. Could I make it better? Yes, but at this point, the cost benefit is way off. So I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna say, "Yep, that's good." And I think that's the key to avoiding insanity as a creative.
I'm gonna write that one down. It's pretty long.
In terms of the shaders and stuff, I got bit pretty bad with the whole modder syndrome. And I think within like a month of messing with stuff last summer, I ended up being convinced that the only way to make the game look good would be to use NW shader made by Peachy Keen and normal map everything. And this was last summer. This was before EE. So I think Niv kind of caught on to what I was working with and invited me into the advisory council, and I was able to see that you guys were putting shaders straight into the engine.
He's like, dude, we got this thing. I mean, you don't have to do it all yourself. There might be a thing coming down the road.
That's exactly what
I don't want to spoil things, but stop.
So you've heard a bit about Neverwinter Sync. You probably even heard about it from Niv at some point.
Or Kevin, yeah.
What do you kind of think about that in terms of persistent world in the future and what potential changes that might bring?
I think it's going to be pretty mind blowing. I definitely agree with the sentiment that it's going to be the biggest change to Neverwinter Nights since Hordes of the Underdark and like the epic level stuff and all of that. Really, I mean, I think that the hack system already fixes a lot of like client server sync problems that overrides create when everybody has their own overrides.
Yep.
But it's not that the downloader will really connect people with the files directly in the game. That's great, but that everyone will get exactly the same files being requested by the server, and there's just going to be the one version. And that's really what's going to make a big difference.
Yep.
There's going to be like huge amounts of problems with hacks in the past that aren't going to be a problem anymore, because hacks used to have the same names but different contents inside, and I've seen servers tanked because of that, because everyone had different hacks and they didn't know it, and they were all passing around bad work.
Yep.
So yeah, it's really going to be great. I think it will completely change everything. It will also change things for the content creators, because I think there's that artist need for people to end up seeing their stuff. Yep. So streamlining delivery will allow people to get the stuff and look at it and think you're awesome really easily, and that will make people pump out more content.
I'm so looking forward to it. It's kind of like we created an open solution, and then it created a bunch of problems, and then okay, this is kind of a way to address all those problems and really step it forward. So it's pretty awesome. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm looking forward to it.
It's also going to be a big feature for the Android version of Neverwinter Nights, which is coming very soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we had to do it for Android. It's like if you want to be able to play a persistent world on Android, either they've got to use vanilla content, or we need some way to get you the non-vanilla content. So NW Sync was something we had always planned and talked about, and really Android kind of required it, and Niv really kind of took it and ran with it. And he's like, okay, you guys are looking at this smaller, kind of lower complexity version of it. Let me eat all the pain by myself, and I will get you the system that will solve these problems. Yep. And it's been amazing to watch it come along.
So hopefully there will be an influx of new players once we go live on mobile platforms for you guys, and hopefully you're able to accommodate that massive new influx of players. But I mean, they should be, the same as desktop players. They'll have all the same features. They'll be able to communicate, do all the exact same things.
They're spitting the same bits back and forth, man.
I'm so excited to be able to whip out a phone and just be like, yeah, I'm going to hop on Airlith in the middle of the bank and just go nuts. Maybe I won't go nuts. It's a role-play server.
Yeah, it'll be like Kill the Phil again.
So, Symphony, you've kind of fallen into this role of tech advisor for people in the community. How do you think that came to be?
Well, last summer before EE happened, one of the main things I was doing was pushing things until they broke. Like really saying what the game could and couldn't do, and a lot of that work led to dead ends with nothing to show for it except for, well, now I know you can't do that. But in the beginning, like last summer, I was able to tell people about those things so they wouldn't do the same thing, and I was also able to relate a lot of the documentation that I had read to find out if the things were possible in the first place. So a lot of people started asking me about stuff. And then when I was in the advisory council, I wasn't one of the server owners or the scripters or stuff, so I didn't really have the ton of homework that really came with the distribution of EE to do. So one of the things that I did was go to a bunch of different persistent worlds and see what they were up to in 169. See what was left and imagine what it would be like for them to cross over. And so when the announcement happened, everyone was like, Symphony, did you know about this? Did you? And I could tell them, yeah, I do know about it. And then they would have, a million questions, and I'd let them know, what the plans were, how stuff works, like how stuff is going to work. And since then, I've really just been answering questions, not just about EE anymore, but also about just Neverwinter Nights in general once they get used to asking me questions.
So right now on the screen, Phil's running around. He's looking at the great swords. We've done up-res versions of the great swords as well.
And you guys even did the gem swords. That's fantastic.
That's right. We care about the gem swords.
The gem swords.
So these are swords that Boyd has just done up for us. And he's still working on a variety of different weapon packs here, but we're slowly rolling forward and getting all kinds of new high-res weapons in. So, Symphony, what would you say to new players that are getting involved with Neverwinter Nights and they boot up the tool set and they might be a little intimidated by it? What advice would you have for them?
I mean, the tool set can be a little scary. It's a lot of features and like a 20-year-old UI. So like that definitely could scare a lot of people away at first. But I think the best thing about the tool set is that it's nearly always been easy to pick up for experienced Neverwinter Nights players. Like some people will come to Neverwinter Nights just to make stuff with experience in other level designers for other games and feel more frustrated with the tool set than the players who have been running around in Neverwinter Nights killing stuff and making outfits. So a strong background in gameplay experience is probably the best qualifier for tool set work. I mean, that's not really surprising because, great composers spend a lot of time listening to music and great authors have a lot of experience with reading books. Play the game a lot, you're going to be pretty comfortable with what you need to do in the tool set in order to put the stuff in the game.
I think that's all absolutely true.
And it gives you that understanding of kind of how the systems work, and you can see examples of what we did in the modules and think, oh, I see what they did there, and I wonder how I can do that.
Yes, that would definitely be number 2, is after you're done playing enough, probably look at other stuff people have done in the tool set, open the main campaign and see how BioWare originally put the modules together. Mm-hmm. And that's a huge learning experience too. That's just still a little daunting, I think, for first-time entrants.
I would agree with that, because there's few things as daunting as firing up and looking at code. Code is a little, there's no kind of soft edges on code. It's pretty hard. So we're going to have to bail here. So thanks a ton, Symphony. It was great talking to you, man.
It was good chatting
with you.
Yeah,
it's great to be on the show.
And we'll have to do this again at some point in the future.
You guys have a nice day.
All right, you too, man. Take care.
We'll chat with you later, man. All right.
There, now I'm no longer hearing Phil on both sides of me, and I'm so much happier.
Oh, my sweaty head.
So we have a question for after the interview. Trent, you mentioned that Alan from Austin is currently making many models for EE. Actually, Alan isn't, but his art team is. By now, I'm sure there is a stable workflow. Any news of when we can get our hands on those tools, scripts, etc.? It's not really a stable workflow. It actually, we're using Unity as kind of a partway step to generate the, what the hell is that data called? TSB data. So we're looking at doing a better solution, but for now it's essentially a workaround. I'm going to see if I can batch it maybe. But once we get a stable tool path to be able to create reliable content, we'll definitely make it available to everyone.
Very exciting.
So on a different note.
Wait, we got one very important question from the audience that we have to answer. Why did you take all of my equipment away at the start of Hordes of the Underdark? I'm getting
because in the grand tradition of James Olen, stripping you naked, throwing you in jail, and leaving you with 1 hit point at the beginning of an adventure, we wanted to ensure the characters came in at a certain balance, and we didn't want to arbitrarily destroy people who had really cheaty weapons. Mm-hmm. So if you created a weapon that was way above what your character should have been able to wield, you load into the module and suddenly you can't equip it, you're going to be a little annoyed and a little angry at it. So we thought rather than just make those people angry, we'd make everybody angry. It's just for balance. Like ultimately, that's what it comes down to.
It's the same reason that all your gold goes away at the beginning of Siege of Dragonspear, because you have too much gold.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate 1 didn't do a great job of de-goldifying you. The balance on the economy wasn't quite what it could have been.
It's in every RPG under the sun. It's always universally about balance, because what if this guy rolled into my campaign with like the Black Blade of Disaster or something?
Yeah, and you've got to cover that scenario where I have played through Baldur's Gate 1 12 times, importing my character over and over, and I am maxed in everything. I have infinite gold, and I have all the weapons in the game. You need to handle that somehow. So
there's workarounds though. Like if you desperately want, you could import your character after the initial part of the game, but that's pretty cheesy.
It's quite cheesy.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I think you just told people to work around it. Here's a question. Are there going to be any systems in place to prevent players from simply cheating the achievements in? After all, the tool set can be used to cheat them in. If you're motivated, you'll figure it out. You'll be able to cheat them in.
There's actually a tool that you can get that's like game agnostic. It just works for every game that will unlock the achievements for that game.
What's it called, like the Achievinator?
Yeah, something like that. So there's not really a way that we can stop it from happening. It's more, does the platform have defenses against people from cheating? And they universally don't, because it's not really worth trying to stop people.
Here's a question. Trent, do you have a pair of golden pantaloons? Actually, I don't.
So,
I have the BMU. Actually,
the big metal unit,
I own the big metal unit.
You put it together. You got all the pantaloons together.
Exactly.
Wow.
In
I'd
my
like
game,
to see it one day.
I am. It's in the game, man.
Oh, I guess.
Nobody would have golden pantaloons in real life. You know, that was actually a joke. Greg used to walk around the office joking about golden pantaloons, and it was never actually approved. It just got put into the game, and the whole BMU thing, it basically just kind of grew out of that accidental joke. And Larry, Daryl, and Daryl, again, unplanned, just a designer after hours putting stuff in, and nobody found it before the game shipped.
Fair enough.
And we won't even talk about the Enya thing.
Fairly certain half of the characters in all of the original or enhanced edition content are named after hilarious things like that.
Yep, there's a whole lot of stuff. So unfortunately, we have some big news to drop. On Phil,
Are you going to drop it?
No,
or
I'm not going to drop it. Your news, man.
All right. Well, folks, it's been a wild ride these past 8 years at Beamdog.
8 years.
But I am, in fact, moving on from Beamdog. It is true. This is not a joke. I know I'm a jokey guy, but this is legitimately serious. I am leaving Beamdog to go pursue other opportunities in the game space. This has been a very difficult decision for me to make. I love the people at Beamdog. I love everyone that I work with. We've made some amazing things. I got to work on games that I never thought I would ever get to work on. I got to expand Baldur's Gate 2. I got to make Siege of Dragonspear. I got to work on Neverwinter Nights. These are games that I played and I loved when I was a pimply-faced youth. And this has been probably one of the most fun adventures that I've ever been on. But times are times, and it's time for me to move on. So I told the team earlier this week. People were a little bit upset with me, I can imagine. But, yeah. It's not you guys, I swear. You guys are the best. I love you guys. Thank you for making these streams a lot of fun. Thanks for tuning in again and again and again and putting up with my ridiculous and time-wasting antics. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I'm sad to move on, but I think it's the right time for me.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to have to talk a lot more on the live streams now. Man, this is going to be hard.
Yeah, we have a bit of an issue here where we're going to swap me out with Lee, but we need a goofball to really make Trent's life difficult. So I'm going to have to train with Lee to try and get him.
Yeah.
I suggested Dan.
It's time for a training montage.
I suggested bringing the hand of Dan onto camera, but Trent's concern was that he would just smoke cigars the whole time and flip people off. And
no, my actual concern was that there was nobody to run the stream.
A skill set that you cannot replace.
Exactly.
Yes.
Somebody make stuff work. Do the worky stuff.
So I'll be around for another week and a half or so as we kind of wind down my involvement with Beamdog. But yeah, it's going to be a big transition. So regarding who's taking over Neverwinter Nights, who's going to be the guy there?
So Neverwinter Nights is going to be kind of split. There's the live version, and then there's the tablet version. Luke will be holding on to the tablet version going forward, and Niv is kind of owning the PC version. He's doing such a spectacular job there. I mean, we basically kind of occasionally chat with him and say, Niv, what do you think about X? And he's like, I will do that after the 7,000 other things I have to do. And we're like, okay,
yeah, that
sounds good.
We have some exciting people coming in to take over this project and other Neverwinter-related projects. I think in the next year, you're going to meet some new people. You're going to be very excited by the stuff that they're working on. And I think Beamdog is going to take Neverwinter Nights in a direction that you never imagined was possible and that you're going to be incredibly happy about.
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately for me, I'm really sad to see Phil go, but at the same time, it offers me kind of an opportunity to step back in and be a little more involved with things. I've really been trying to kind of hang back and give Phil all the growth opportunities, aka punches in the face and horrible things
Growing
that happen.
Through pain.
Yeah,
the Beamdog
I wanted to let Phil grow with kind of a safety net there, and it'll allow me to kind of step forward and really kind of get back into it a bit more than I have been, which is good for me because I really suck at sitting back. I'm like the worst backseat driver. So
Believe me, I've driven around with him in my car, and he's like, "No, you're shifting wrong."
yep, you are.
To be fair, I was shifting wrong, but you didn't have to tell me. You have a comment from Jacob Berger, I believe that's how you pronounce it. Jacob Burgess. Okay. Burgess.
He says, "Best of luck, Phil, and absolute best wishes for wherever you land next."
You know where I'm going to land? My fist is going to land in your face, buddy.
Phil is angry for some reason. I don't understand it.
It's Jacob. I feel just aggressive
See,
when he talks to me.
my theory is that Phil is actually going to become a professional indie game developer, and he is going to continue to chase
That's
Rogue's
right.
Gate, and he is going to try and make something commercial, massive out of that.
Let's bust over to my screen here where we can take a look at Arcanum Enhanced Edition.
AKA Rogue's Gate. So Phil's actually going to do it on his own. So that way he can continue the phone call with them.
That's right. I might call in occasionally, and be a guest star, but let's be honest here, I'm not going to come back. It's just Neverwinter Nights. I'm going to be removed from it, and I'm not going to be able to keep up. It's just going to be ridiculous. Everyone's going to make fun of me. All right, Trent, what's your favorite car?
That is a hard question.
That it's the hardest question of all.
So I admire a lot of cars, but at the same time, they're not really practical. And there are some cars that I have driven in anger that I really like. I have driven a Ferrari 360 and a Ferrari 430, both in anger. I really want to try out a McLaren. I think the McLarens would be phenomenal.
But ultimately, the apex for you of both functionality and coolness is the Ford Fiesta.
No, it's Furiosa's War Rig.
Well, they both started with F.
I'm
so.
totally. Then my next car
With
is
the
a war,
arm on the rusted out arm on the
My
side.
next car is a War Rig.
With like a gun wrapped in what appeared to be clay on the bottom. I wasn't sure about that.
It was a cover, so it was a hidden gun, so she could break it out.
But it's just weird.
So
man.
once again, we're going to be at PAX.
I'm not.
You're not. Phil's not welcome at PAX. But the rest of the
after
Beamdog
last year.
people will be at PAX, and we're still hiring. Again, programmers, web developers, technical artists, and we're going to give away a T-shirt. I believe we're going to give away a T-shirt to Balquo.
No, it's pronounced Balqui.
Balquo.
Balquo.
We are so desperate to milk time out of this that we are sitting
we got
there
3 minutes
making,
left. All right. Rapid fire question round. Everybody get your questions in. It's your last stream with me. You have 30 seconds. Go nuts.
You have 0.3 seconds.
Jacob said go to hell. All right, buddy, I will. Just for you. Oh,
How about QA people? We're actually full up on internal QA at the moment. We're continuing to work with a fair amount of external QA people.
When that new office move comes, start looking for a lot more listings to come out of us because we'll actually be able to fit people.
Yep.
But I believe we are out of time, including out of time for me forever.
So
good
luck, Phil.
Thank you
It's
very
been
much.
good.
It's
been
a
good.
Fantastic 8 years, and it's really hard to walk away, but I will see you guys around, and time to shake the hand of Dan. And oh yeah, I guess we have to give this away.
Who gets the
hat?
The hat filled with Daigle musk.
Wait, let's.
The Daigle musk hat. I think Jacob Berger should win it.
Oh, Jacob's really gonna get this one. Let's get it under the shirt.
Phil is making it less appealing all the time.
Musky. And I haven't showered in like a month, guys.
Philip doesn't shower.
I'm on that Ponfar schedule of Vulcan showers. Who wins? Who wins the hat? It is. I can't read it. It's too small for my terrible eyes. The winner is Ratibor 92.
You have the hat of musk.
Congratulations for winning a disgusting foul hat.
Hat plus one signed musk hat.
Here,
Actually,
get some earwax in there too.
It looks really warm.
It's very warm. And it's got this convenient little strap.
It's
Anyways,
got a chin strap.
We'll see you guys around. It's been a pleasure. And tune in next Friday to torment Lee and Trent.